Hi, my name is Stephanie Ely, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my video. Today I just want to give you some tips to pass Praxis 5038. It is currently summer 2025, and I just completed the exam, and I realized there are different versions of the exam from watching other people's channels. So I just wanted to give some tips why it's fresh on my mind, and for those of you who are preparing to take the exam yourself. So just a few tips and things that helped me as I prepare to take it and to pass it, thank God, on my first try. So this is Praxis 5038, which is English Language Arts for grades 6 through 12. So the first tip I would give you is to get a study guide. The one I used is the Mometrix Praxis 5038 study guide, 3rd edition. I use this one because this particular one has 3 exams in it. At the back, there are 3 practice exams, and they also have, what I like about this study guide in particular is there are also digital links, web links that you can go to, videos that you can watch. It has a lot of supplemental video tutorials that go along with this study guide. I've used it before to successfully pass other Praxis exams, and I'm just brand loyal, and that's the reason I like this one. Tip number 2 is definitely take a full-length practice test first. Before you start studying anything, take a full-length practice test and just see where your strengths are, see where your weaknesses are. And then step 3 would be to create that study plan, watch YouTube videos on your weak areas. Kathleen Jasper has a channel, and she has a lot of good tips. She has some free webinars for those preparing for Praxis 5038. So I definitely would recommend checking her channel out. Tip number 4, give yourself time to study, at least 2 to 4 weeks, and 2 hours a day if possible. I took 4 weeks to prepare and study for Praxis 5038, and I did take at least 2 hours a day because, again, I'm studying in my study guide and I'm watching videos. So if you have that time, I would take it. And finally, take as many practice tests as possible. Again, that one had Mometrix has 3 practice tests in addition to all of the online sources that it has. Okay, so you know that the test questions, this is the study companion for Praxis that they give you. The test is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. There are 130 questions on the exam. On my version of the test, the literary periods were covered. So knowing a chart like this is going to be very helpful for you. It's going to help you. Not only did they ask about certain authors from particular periods, you had to match the author to the period. And then some works, some of the novels, you had to match to the particular author. But even if you didn't know the work, if you knew that they were from a particular literary period, it would be helpful, a helpful clue, a helpful tip for you. The books that were mentioned on my version of the exam were Catcher in the Rye. There were like 3 or 4 questions on each one of these. Lord of the Flies was the other novel that was mentioned on my version of it as well. The different types of poems that were mentioned on my version were the poems that you see here, so make sure that you know the difference between all of these different types of poems, which one is the shortest in length, know the literary devices, metaphor, simile, all of those different things. I had 3 different poems for analysis, and there were several questions linked to each poem. The Tiger poem, one of Robert Frost's poems, and then there was a poem by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So just being familiar with those. You also want to know the literary theories. In particular, on my version of the exam, reader's response, new criticism, post-colonial theory, and feminist theory were the literary theories that were highlighted on my exam. I had questions about each one of these. yeah, all right, on the exam. So strategies that will help readers. Writer's workshop was mentioned on my version of the exam, and then also knowing MLA formatting and in-text citation. Multiple questions about that. There are multiple questions about sentence types. And then student work samples to evaluate. So toward the end of my version of the test, I had um, several student works to evaluate. So there were like around question 100, that's when I saw the student work, sample work, and applying a rubric or just, evaluating what's wrong with the passage. That was definitely on the test. So one final tip I would give is to leave yourself enough time to go back and review your answers. On the exam, they give you an opportunity to mark questions as you go, so that you can come back and review them later. I completed the exam in 2 hours, so that gave me 30 minutes to go back and review the ones that I had marked. I would say give yourself at least 15 minutes to go back and review those questions. As I said, around question 100, that's when I started seeing the student work questions. So they gave a student essay, and you can kind of get bogged down in trying to, like, how can you improve this? How can the student improve the essay? You can kind of get bogged down in some of those questions, remembering that it is multiple choice. And then some of them, again, it's a rubric that you must apply to the student work and grading it. So just give yourself enough time. But those were the questions. Those were the main questions that I had. I tried to jot down as much as I could right after taking the exam. So this would be helpful. If you have any additional questions for me, my email is here. And I just wish everyone well, wish you the best. I want to keep this video short because I know that everyone is trying to study, and your time is valuable. So God bless. Good luck to everyone taking it, and I hope you found these tips helpful.